Hi, this is Sujita. Welcome to the FocusNet JRF English Literature channel. Today we are going to see about Thomas More. So his timeline is about 1477 till 1535. So he is a humanist and a Lord Chancellor to Henry the Eighth. Okay, so I already talked to you about Henry the Eighth, how he was and how just to marry Anne Boleyn, how he created a new religion and a new church for he is to be the head of the church as well as the England, you know, and how Thomas More opposed it and how he was executed, all those things. So More, he was a martyr to Catholic. So he was so devoted to Catholic, and that's why he was against the king. So he refused to attend the coronation of Anne Boleyn, and and that's why he was sentenced as a traitor and executed on 6th July 1535. Let's see his most important work, that is the famous work Utopia, the 1516. Actually, it was written in Latin and later printed at Louvain in 1516. Okay, so in the 16th century, Utopia was translated to Dutch, French, Italian, and Spanish, and also into English. So Ralph Robinson's version, that is what we are looking into now, which is an English version that has been printed in 1551. Okay, so Utopia, it is an essay actually in two books. So it is an essay in two books influenced by travelogues such as that by Amerigo Vespucci, which is printed in 1507. Okay, so Utopia, it opens with a historical event, a delegation to Burgess in 1515. Okay, so in which More had been a part. So with that historical event, he has opened Utopia. So the first book, it has two books. So first book, it describes the oppressive injustices of England. So he was not at all agreeing with what Henry the Eighth is doing to England. So he was indirectly writing everything in the first book. He is depicting the oppressive injustices that has been done to the England people, to the Catholics. Okay, so the second book, it contrasts. Okay, it has been differentiating England with Utopia. So how England is and how Utopia was. So he was contrasting these two country. So he describes these things, the contrasting things, which describes by the protagonist, that is Raphael Hithlode. So Raphael Hithlode is the protagonist of Utopia. So he describing how England is and how Utopia is. Okay, he was differentiating with these two countries. Let's see the structure of the city, how Utopia was structured. See, look at that. The city is surrounded by a thick wall which cannot be penetrated. The streets are rationally planned for easy movement of traffic. And then buildings are well maintained. Every house has a front door which opens to a street and a back door that opens to a garden. No doors can be locked, which means there is no privacy for anyone. Houses are well built with three-story high. So it is three-storied. Every house is three-storied. They have a front door and a back door. Front door opens to a street and back door opens to a garden. Okay. So what about the family structure? How the people lived? So Utopian, they live together in a patriarchal family. They live together. They are not separated. They live together. At least 10 in a family will be there. So all Utopian, must work in a farm. Everyone, they must work in a farm and they have to work for 6 hours a day. So what about the slaves? Slaves were not brought, which is what happening in England. Okay, slaves were brought. Okay, but here slaves were not brought. Then how? They were either people captured by the Utopians in the battle, or who committed a horrible crime in Utopia. If anyone is doing a horrible crime in Ethiopia, then they were caught and they were made as slaves. And if the Ethiopians, they rarely go to battle. They always wanted peace. And if they go to battle and if they capture some people, then they were considered to be slaves. The next thing, look at the next point. People who were sentenced to death in other countries are saved and brought to Utopia as slaves. Look at that. Some people might have sentenced to death in their country. So these utopians, they go to the people go to the country, and they save the person who is sentenced to death, and they brought them back to their country Utopia, and they keep them as slaves. Okay, because they are humanists. Thomas More is humanist. Now look at the next point. Children of slaves are not considered as slaves. Very good thing, right? So, but you know what happened in England? Everyone is slaves, mother or brother of wife or children. Everyone is considered to be slave if they are slaves. But here, children of slaves are not considered as slaves. Okay, so slaves, they have to work constantly for the punishment. It is like a punishment for them, and they were also chained. And you know what the chain is made of? It is made of gold actually. They are chained. The chain is made of gold. Let's look at the religion. People of Ethiopia, they worship different deities, which means they have options. They are not they are not forced to follow any religion. But what happened in England? Henry VIII, he forced people uh, to follow his own religion that he formed and his own church to follow. Okay, so here Utopia, they were not forced to follow any kind of deities. They can worship any kind of deity from sun to the great heroes of the past. But atheism is not tolerated. You can't be an atheist in Utopia. Okay, so people who condemn other religion and those who force their opinion on others are subject to exile or bondage. See, look at that. This is a blow on England. This is a blow on Henry VIII. He does the same thing. He condemn other religion. He force his opinion on others. So what does Thomas More say? People who condemn other religion and those who force their opinion on others are subject to exile or bondage. So people worship in the same church together, and their priests are elected by secret ballot method. Okay, that's how the chief priests are elected. So this is all about Utopia. So Thomas More, he is a devotee to Christianism, to Catholicism. So he could not digest what Henry VIII was doing to his religion. But you know, and that's why he wrote Utopia, to telling that this is how a country should be. This is how a leader should be. So that's what he is mentioning in Utopia. Hope you understand what I taught you. If you have any doubt, please comment. Thank you.